Hello, welcome to Framework. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as always, is John Bernard.
Ahoy, hoy.
John,
Yeah.
are you ready to travel to another galaxy?
I sure am. I was so excited to get going on this for some reason.
Was it just because we were coming off of Veilguard that it felt like this was like starry-eyed hopes for this one being better than...
No, because I finished Veilguard and was like, I can't wait to take a break from Bioware games. I think it'd be nice to take a little breather from these. I've had my fill of late. And then I was just like, within a month, I was like, Andromeda, though. What about Mass Effect Andromeda? Maybe I should be playing that again right away. I don't know.
I mean, this is the last Bioware game.
It is.
We could close the Bioware Omnibus after this. I think we talked about maybe just stretching it and going to Baldur's Gate 3 because I've yet to play that, and by all accounts, it's a great game. And it's tangentially related enough that we might just tie it into this eventually.
I think we should. It's really, really something, and I think you'd get a big kick out of it. And it is a lot more fun than Mass Effect Andromeda, let me tell you.
And Mass Effect 4 is going to be coming out at some point, presumably.
Well, I know I'm going to play that. But, I mean, what I do like is the idea of putting these away. You know, I feel like in taking on the BioWare games here, this project we've been doing for, 5 years now, I think?
Yeah, something
like that. You know, I don't know. It was one of the first episodes we did that wasn't about Quentin Tarantino, was talking about Dungeons and Dragons and rule sets and how it related to the early BioWare games. So since the beginning of this podcast, we've kind of been doing this project. And I believe as a result, you know, I've played way too many old games and haven't really seen any of the new stuff that's come out. I've kind of avoided new video games. And as a new parent, newish, 4 years in at this point, my time for video gaming has decreased, and I'm playing games I played a decade ago or longer in some cases. And I'm just like, maybe we should stop this thing.
Well, okay. I mean, maybe we should stop this thing is a recurring motif in, I think, just 2026 American culture.
Yeah, it extends beyond our video game woes. Yes, indeed.
Right. But so Mass Effect Andromeda came out in 2017, I believe. It was almost 10 years old.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So this is kind of before spin-offs, legacy sequels had completely consumed like all of Hollywood culture and
we were still doing them,
but that gaming culture. Like, yes, they existed. This still strikes me as one of the best premises for a spin-off sequelization project ever. Well, I mean, it's like Star Trek: The Next Generation of the way. So.
Well, Mass Effect, the original trilogy, ends with such a decisive ending, a world-changing, whatever ending you choose dramatically shifts the balance of how everything in the entire universe works, or entire galaxy.
Yes, the world state is drastically altered depending on which of the endings the player has chosen, which makes it very hard to sequelize directly.
Yeah, and even if you were to just choose one and continue from there, it's still, you got a world state that is weird and difficult, and you have to answer a lot of questions that would negate, 2/3 of players' experiences, et cetera, et cetera. It's a broken world to try to attempt. And your protagonist that has driven the franchise is decidedly dead, no matter what. So how do you make another game in that franchise? It feels like a closed loop. They had a brilliant idea, I have to admit. No. The concept here is great.
Yeah, the concept is that there was some sort of technological breakthrough in the Mass Effect universe which allowed for the Milky Way species, the council races, humans basically, and the humanoids, to travel not just around the Milky Way galaxy, but across dark space to a whole other galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy. And that's such a mind-boggling distance that even with this technology, it takes them 600 years to make the trip in cryosleep. And so by the time you wake up, you are cut off from the Milky Way. There's no communication with them. Things have progressed there by hundreds of years if you did have communications. So it cuts you off from having to deal with the aftermath of the Mass Effect trilogy directly, and allows you to still use the Mass Effect lore, the races, the cultures that are built up, the gameplay mechanics, and put them to work in a new environment with a clean slate. And also just a great science fiction slate, clean slate of a brand new galaxy where anything is possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially what they did in Voyager, Star Trek Voyager.
It is very Star Trek Voyager.
Mm-hmm. Here's a brand new world. We're going to explore all new, and it re-emphasizes something that was like a big deal in the first Mass Effect and then got dropped by the wayside, which is exploration and discovery. And it is infused with sort of a spirit of just like, well, what's beyond the next horizon? Like what is going to be this next planet? What possible cultures and sites and strange things could occur in this entirely different galaxy? You're starting over essentially, and it could go anywhere. And that's built into the game mechanic as well.
Also, in the Voyager connections, it's more isolated. It's a smaller,
right.
There's maybe a million people involved in this initiative, this colonization project total, which is a vast step down from the entire galaxy you were dealing with in Mass Effect. So you're sort of isolated. There's this you can steer it in a more Battlestar Galactica direction of we are really up against it, hard scrabbling to survive here.
That's where we start too. It's like, things went wrong. We have to piece something together here to survive, which is great. Great place to start.
Well, here's my problem with the execution on this. It's such a great concept for a reboot of this, and yet they struggle to capitalize on that concept while making it. They want to make it an action game.
Right.
And in order for there to be action, just exploring empty spaces and uninhabited planets is a slow and methodical and boring process. And so kind of right away, this whole thing, you're the pathfinder in this. And so you're supposed to be the sort of, the first person setting foot on these new planets and doing first contact and everything. But in order for there to be sort of like quest line scenarios and things for you to do, they have to establish actually all your first contacts are actually third or fourth contacts. So these people are like every alien race you meet's already been met by somebody else, and they already have a relationship with the humans or the initiative, and that gets frustrating to me.
Yeah. I think in general. I think a big problem with this game, as we will, get into it as we go forward, is there's a promise of sort of anything can happen, and what ends up, what you end up finding is not very interesting and very reminiscent of things that have come before. It is, it feels a little bit like hasty retreads of ideas already explored in the Mass Effect game and lots of other science fiction, really. There's not a lot of depth to the new worlds being explored here. Yeah. And that's the disappointment of Mass Effect Andromeda for me. Probably first and foremost. And as a result of it's the story and the world building. It's all kind of timid and doesn't really land. And yes, the nature of exploration, it's a little dull for me coming from such narrative-based games. So I guess that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot of other issues, of course, that came out when this game emerged. There were many glitches and funny videos and reactions and negativity about that. It's sort of like a moot point now, 9 years later.
They patched most of the graphical stuff up, so it doesn't look bad to me at all at this stage. But I don't remember. That's always also the least interesting aspect of it to me.
Sure, I would agree. I mean, the game is defined by stuff being not very interesting, unfortunately.
Right.
So, like the characters assembled here, a lot of that stuff. You want it. You want more. You want more out of. You want classic Mass Effect stuff, and they're kind of doing a new thing that they don't really land.
That's the problem. Is they set up a new thing and then revert to imitating the old thing too directly. Is how it works for me, which I think was the basis of Ronald D. Moore's critiques of Star Trek Voyager, which fueled him to make the Battlestar Galactica reboot that we were talking about. That You set up this amazing premise that could do a lot more intense storytelling, and then you just they still have a holodeck and all the amenities, and that kind of killed it for him. So okay, well let's go through it. The opening of the story anyway. So we come to Andromeda. We are woken up by our daddy Clancy Brown, who is the leader, founder of this whole project, kind of
the Pathfinder project,
ultimate badass, space daddy.
Yeah,
Clancy Brown's a great voice for that. And as we arrive, we're sort of like we run into something in what's supposed to be empty space, which is the Scourge, the dark matter tendrils that have been creeping through this. Popped up suddenly, I guess, suddenly on a cosmic scale in the 600-year gap between when we looked through the long-range telescopes to decide where we were going to land in Andromeda and then took the trip. And then we get there and things have gone haywire in that 500-year gap. And the planets are all screwed up. Their environments are being damaged by the presence of this Scourge dark energy formations that also, I guess, are making it difficult to navigate through the solar systems.
Yeah. And this is, as a premise, I think this is all good. Again, so the table setting here is if not, maybe even a little ingenious in a lot of ways. You are either a male or a female sibling. You get to choose which of the Rider siblings you play as. And then you design both of them, though. And then the Clancy Brown character is sort of a composite of those, which is a really interesting mechanic. He looked horrible in my version here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I think when I played this the first time, I made a darker skinned Rider, and he still was just a Clancy Brown looking guy. That did not match at all. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was part of the patches too.
He was definitely darker skinned in my playthrough this time because I chose to my Rider in this version. I decided would be essentially. I tried to recreate the Teyana Taylor character in one battle after another as a Mass Effect character.
It's a strong premise.
Yeah, well, I thought that would be kind of fun to do that. Try to figure out that character as a role play. The game, of course, basically gives you no opportunity to be Perfidia Beverly Hills in space. It is very much on a rail, as we found in latter day. Bioware, the character choice stuff is just not a thing in this game. It's really frustrating. I have almost no chance to be Teyana Taylor.
I don't know that there was that much chance to make Shepard into Perfidia Beverly Hills in the original trilogy, but there was a lot more. Yes, yeah. I have put 20 some hours into this game at this point. I can't think of a single story shaping decision I have actually made.
I'm trying to do chaos choices all the time, and I don't think I've gotten any. I don't think I've gotten anywhere with that stuff. I've pissed off a couple people, but not in a way it seems to matter at all.
Yeah,
and this
is my frustration with the Veilguard is that I was very rapidly got to a point where I was trying to piss everybody off, and the game just wouldn't let me.
It does feel I have no authorship of this character or sort of ownership of the narrative that Mass Effect was really good, or at least tricking me into thinking I had. And that's over multiple playthroughs, and I could see the seams, and it still works better than it does here. This is on the rails, and it's very vanilla in that regard.
Yeah, the Dragon Age series up through Inquisition, I felt pretty. Inquisition has a lot of the gameplay stuff here, the overstuffed, that dilutes the powerful story stuff by having too much random shit to do in big maps. But there are big, you can decide what to do with Blackwall. There is going to affect that entire relationship and character in game.
Really is fascinating that, this is not breaking any news, the creative fall of BioWare, but we have really, really been able to track it here, in doing this project. It's been as clear as day, what one game lacks and that the previous one had, and how they continue to go in that direction. And it's kind of worse off, every game afterwards. I guess culminating in Veilguard as sort of the nadir of many of the best BioWare things. But this is kind of on the road there. This is along that path. and it's more fun than Veilguard, I'd have to say. Although the combat remains an issue because it's not as good as the last Mass Effect 2. That's a frustration here.
Yeah, it's very similar.
It is, but it's
yet not as good. That is unfortunate.
And the inventory management is a nightmare.
It is.
I just don't want to engage with it at all. Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, that another thing with commonality with Veilguard is where I just did not want to engage with the inventory in that whatsoever either. And also, it's clearly to me in both cases that you're just going to craft the best stuff anyway. So I should just I should pick one gun at the start, craft the best one of that I can, and stick with it. And my life will be easier.
I'm going for easiest. I'm not going to figure out the depths of this crafting system. It feels like everything, every cache I open across these planets is full of something that I just I don't. Hyper nanofibers. Oh, great. It's so much shit like that. And I'm just I don't want to figure out how all this works, how all this, maybe I can handle the mineral collection, but beyond that, I'm just I don't want to know what the superlative, whatever. I don't care.
I can't not open the chest, but when I just oh, great, more inorganic lubricant. But yeah, the worst type of sex lube I could get. Great.
And that, yeah, okay. I mean, we're kind of hitting a lot of the frustrations of this right out here.
Yeah, sorry. Let's go back to character creation.
Yeah,
it is interesting. So it was clear to me from when this came out that so the conceit here is going to be you make your writer here, your twin is injured in the opening crash, and they spend the whole game in a coma, and they wake up at the end. So the conceit is going to be that you play one writer sibling in Andromeda, and then you're going to play the other one in Mass Effect Andromeda 2.
Hey,
so
maybe
there's sort of a reason to start you over at level 1 and play a different class and all that, and also maybe allied some of the more difficult continuity stuff that as you get into Mass Effect 3, having to track all the Shepard's decisions for 3 games is probably a pretty big headache. It's also the raison d'etre of the entire project. But
yeah.
EA's Bioware was trying to get away from being Bioware.
Indeed. Yeah. That's so frustrating. That was, and it wasn't that was kind of BioWare's, if not their only really cool feature. It was certainly one of them. One of the things that
it was their defining thing. Yeah,
BioWare Game 4 would be to the continuity between the experiences, and even in the early Dragon Ages that was going on. Where it's limited, but it's still a part of it, and it just feels like they walked completely away from it. Which seems odd, as it is their sell. But I mean, so many they walked away from so many things that was working.
But that was weirdly the BioWare mini-series that we do here is where all of my sort of little rants about late-stage capitalism tend to land. But that does it does strike me as it's everything in every industry of this era. It's mainly because we've allowed monopolies to take over, and monopolies are actually terrible for business, and as they vertically integrate, you get so much money into any one company, and they stop being about their product. That now you go out just to get to a drive-through, and every fast food place is getting worse because there's only a couple of giant fast food companies, and they've all reached a point where they have such a ball of capital that they're trying to figure out ways to just make that money, make more money for them, and get rid of the pesky part where they actually have to sell hamburgers. Yeah, that seems to be a little bit of what's happening with EA and video games too.
And everything.
They're not trying to maximize the video game experience. They're just trying to eke out a couple of extra cents profit on the margins.
Yeah, there's no creative reason to make live action Moana. I mean, this is the state of the world as it is. This is where we are. It's where we're landing, and I feel like it's something we've been talking about sort of over the course of this podcast with films as well. It feels like every year we probably have at least one episode where we're just like, so is this art form dying? Is this ending? Or is it getting worse to the point where it's not sustainable? Just market trends, culture, streaming is are we watching the twilight of this whole art form? And I don't think that's the case with video games.
It might be. Well, we devoted so much of ourselves to these games from 10 to 20 years ago that we're not totally abreast of that. But
it's certainly the twilight of Bioware and games of this type, it feels like. We're evolving away from this. Now, I feel like there's an audience for it, and I feel like people keep chasing this, there's stuff that is going to find a way to do this, nostalgia bait at least.
My point is that deterioration of Bioware as an entity reflects the broader deterioration of
everything
American culture in the 21st century. That I mean, our other miniseries we've done lately is The Wire, and it's got that quote that sums up our whole cursed century about how we used to build shit in this country, and now we just put our hand in the next guy's pocket, and that is everything about America. We're just
atrophy. Yeah,
we're not trying to do anything better. We're just trying to make things 5% cheaper on the spreadsheet while making them 20% worse.
Yep. That's everything everywhere all at once.
So, okay. So anyway, we're in the Andromeda Galaxy is a great place to start new, and maybe we could start a narco-syndicus commune or whatever we're groping towards. As we get to. Well, let me ask you, I guess, about your character. So you're Tiana Taylor. Yeah. Do you have a class?
I'm an infiltrator, which I've enjoyed in past Mass Effects, which is, like a tech and munitions kind of person.
That's the sniper class. That's been my traditional go-to as well.
Well, what I'm doing with it is I'm trying to be like, I get invisible and sneak up on people with a shotgun. It's sort of my move right now.
Oh,
moderately successful.
The opposite of the sniper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've kind of not put points into sniping. At this point, I'm like kind of all in on shotgunning and going invisible, and it's working-ish. I'm not loving it. I'm hoping that there's another tier to what I can do with this, but
what difficulty are you playing on?
I think normal. I've kind of learned my lesson on these at this point. I'm not trying to push myself. I'm kind of just trying to get through it, which,
I took a step down from the insanity difficulty that I usually go on. I've been doing on hardcore, and I've turned that down to normal once or twice when there's still I got glitched out on one boss fight a while back where I guess I had gone back through a door that was supposed to lock behind me somehow, and so it was auto-saving me behind the door and wouldn't open it. So I was just stuck, and I had to go back to a save 3 hours earlier and go through the entire base again to get.
Yeah, maybe they didn't fix all the glitches. Huh? Maybe
they did not.
Sort of infamously, yeah.
So a couple of times I turned it down, but I'm trying something I had never done before. I've just doing a soldier and put all my points into assault rifles, and I'm just blasting my way through.
Almost wish I'd done that.
Fairly satisfying, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I might end up in some version of that by the end of this thing. It's because it's not super satisfying in the way that, I don't know, it feels a little less a little more floaty, a little less precise than previous Mass Effects have. It's
well, it's very floaty in that you have hover jets that you can use.
You sure do.
That does make the platforming stuff. It's a lot more three-dimensional than Mass Effect the trilogy ever was.
You can't even really jump in Mass Effect trilogy, yeah.
Right. And this you can jump, 3 times your height.
Yeah.
And have to do it constantly. Which is fine. It feels all right.
Yeah, it allows them to build vertical maps in a way that's kind of, it's different at least. There's a little more scope to the environments you're walking through.
Yeah, the problem is there's too many of them, too big of them. And so they get to be samey too, and then modular.
Yeah, well, the overworld is too big. It often feels like, and it's that exploration thing, doing a No Man's Sky kind of thing, and I'm just sort of like, well, I wish there were more guys to fight here. I don't like driving this car so much, shit like that. It's the same old Mass Effect 1 complaints about exploration. Yes. Actually, it looks nicer and it does handle nicer, but it's it's still not especially interesting. Because it's a lot of rocky environments, a lot of terrains without stuff in it. And then when you do get into the maps, well, for the most part, they're not Prothean, they're Remnant in this.
Yeah. Okay. I guess let's go through the plot to reach the Remnant in due time. I guess. Okay. So we wake up. We're in a crisis already. We're crash landing. We're coming up on the Habitat 7, one of the worlds that was scouted as being ideal for our habitation. And so as we go down there, it's all covered in storms and it's messed up and everybody's like going, what happened? This was supposed to be a paradise world. And this one, it bothers me for a couple of reasons. One, like it can be the whole planet doesn't have to be a tropical paradise. Doesn't have to be Floston Paradise from the Fifth Element.
Of course.
It could just have some nice parts to it. And also, like, even, if you're in Aruba or wherever, or Tahiti, like, they have storms from time to time. But fine, we've scanned the whole planet and determined that this is bad. What really shits me is we get down there and the way that we know everything is wrong is that there's goddamn floating rocks everywhere.
Sure are. That's one of the first things you experience in the game.
The exact wrong foot for me in 2026. Can't believe how did I miss the meeting? Was there?
Well, I think
vote on this in 2015.
There was a Dark Souls part of this that you missed. I think the Dark Souls did this a little bit as well. I don't know. It's taken to an extreme later here. But
Avatar I should have engaged
the Hallelujah Mountains, of course. Yes.
That really.
What could be better than floating rocks? Really, what could be more magical?
I can't believe that they've done this so many times. It seems like on the 8th time they expect me to be like, what? The rocks? They're just floating there? I've seen this 800 fucking times.
It's really, it sort of just seems residual. Like, it's so, like, well, of course there's some floating rocks. You got to throw some floating rocks in. It's just like background illustration at this point.
Like how they literally ride broomsticks in Harry Potter. Like, by like the third one, they're like, yeah, maybe we wouldn't have done that if we could go back. But, it's just part of the iconography we're riffing on. So now this is, it's a sci-fi environment. So naturally there are floating mountains everywhere. And so we run around there. We encounter the Ket, who are the hostile alien force, and they are the collectors from Mass Effect 2. The end. That's basically it.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, a little less going on maybe than the collectors.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just sort of bad aliens,
When we get to the one of the later story
missions. Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. After we meet the Angarans, we invade one of the Ket's big bases to rescue some Angaran muckety muck. And we were treated to the big devastating reveal that the Ket are injecting their Angaran prisoners with things to turn them into the Ket monsters. And that upsets our Angaran buddy quite a bit. I'm like, yeah, I know, man, we've been through this exact same reveal in Mass Effect 2, where we learned that the collectors are the Protheans. And also, the indoctrination, they're not indoctrination. What was the husks? Huskification? I forget what
I don't know, the dragon's teeth?
The Reaper's whole thing is that they turn you into them and turn people into monsters. That's what every sci-fi and fantasy army boils down to. That's Army of Darkness. They're raised skeletons. They're raised zombies. They turn us into them. It's the Night King's army. And they treat it as such a big deal in this. And I'm like, this is such old hat for like for sci-fi generally. the Mass Effect series even more specifically, and it's just really uninspired.
It certainly is, and I think uninspired is unfortunately like it's going to be a big, that's a big part of this. Like again, the Voyager thing. You've got this, and you've got clean slate in so many ways, and we just keep being like, yeah. How about there's collectors? How about there's floating rocks? How about it's the same exact shit, but kind of done at like 60% strength everywhere you go. The environments are the same. The planets aren't interesting places to go. In part because they're envisioned as sort of just uncivilized areas. Like they're just open. Yeah, they're wilderness, and I don't know. I mean, there's ways to do that in interesting fashion, but you end up with a lot of rock formations. A lot of hills that you are struggling to climb over. One of my least favorite things to do in a game. Try to climb up a hill that you're not able to get up. There's a lot of that going on, in a car or not.
What's horrible about that is when there's a steep hill or like a rock formation you're not sure you can get up, and I actually spend a minute or two trying to see if I can get over the crest of it, and using my different burners in different ways and trying to hop over here and then over there. Even when I succeed at that and do make it over the I'm not then satisfied. I'm like, well, God damn it. If I was supposed to be able to get over this, why don't you just make it so I can get over it? Why do I have to? It's
my least favorite thing to do in a video game, I think, is try to climb over a hill and try to figure out if I'm actually able to climb over this hill or not. Yeah. And it's like, oh, nope, I'm not. Okay, I'll go down and try to get around in a different way. Yeah. Or even if I am. Yeah.
We're not platformers by nature, I guess.
I guess not, but I mean, I don't mind platforming. I enjoy platforming a lot more than, this is open world shit. This is moving across terrain. And, you build obstacles and you got to get around them some way, but because it's just sort of, in many ways, just sort of it's such a large amount of space that there's not like an obvious way to get around everything. And so you, 10 minutes to climb up a hill, and realize that you weren't supposed to do that when you get after the 10 minutes. That sucks. I hate that. And a lot of these exploration-based games, I spend a lot of time doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we meet the cat. They're mean.
They don't talk, or they will eventually, but they just got to shoot first, kind of thing. So they're bad guys to fight, which you need.
Yes. Yeah, no, we need bad guys, but so here's part of the problem, I think, that Andromeda is living in the shadow of the original trilogy, which means that we need a replacement bad guy for the Reapers. And that is a tough hill to climb. So we have the Ket, who are the collectors. We have the Remnant, who are basically the Protheans, but they still have some sort of like robots to around that create a different enemy type for us to fight. But
that's about it so far.
The Remnant are an ancient civilization that has these relics. It's the Protheans from the lore of the Milky Way. The exact same setup. Yep. And then I guess what we have in the place of the sort of mysterious, overarching threat that nobody quite knows the handle on is the Scourge, is the equivalent to the Reapers.
Sort of.
It's a lot less compelling.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's an inanimate object we're talking about.
Yeah. Just sort of vague bad stuff. There's certainly no personality or anything like that, or even really design to it. It's just sort of, anti-life stuff, maybe.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. My memory of this, and I'm actually really surprised how little I've retained of this game. Like, usually in playing these games again, I'm just like, I actually remember almost all of it to some extent. Not here. Like, a lot of this, I'm just like, did I play this before? I guess I must have. The game says I put 90 hours into this 10 years ago, so I must have. But I'm drawing a blank on so much of this time through. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe all that does get resolved. I don't remember it happening, though. I remember mostly just a huge cliffhanger before much has happened. Or not even really a cliffhanger. It's just sort of
Yeah, I don't even remember how this game resolves. I mean,
No,
I know
no,
we
I don't.
beat the bad
I don't
guy,
know.
but
I don't. Yeah, we'll find out together, I guess. But because none of it stayed in my head.
so as we go down on our first mission, we get our first two party members who are our sort of human allies. I guess the Kay Nolenko and Ashley Williams of this game.
I guess.
That is Liam, who is a kind of happy-go-lucky British soldier guy, and Cora, who is a human biotic who studied and served with the Asari commando squads to learn their biotic ways. So she's sort of I guess she's the Mass Effect equivalent of a weeb, sort of.
I guess. I don't know. Less interesting Miranda is kind of how I thought of her. Yeah.
Well, there's the only interesting thing about her we'll get to in a minute, I guess.
Right.
But she's, I guess, a little no nonsense, but not like, I don't know. I feel like we've had more interesting no nonsense people. You know, Aveline in Dragon Age 2 was very buttoned up and
Sure. Okay. I could see that. I don't know. I mean, these two, like we've talked about the boring first people that you always have in these games, and I guess these guys fit into that continuity in their way. I don't find them irritating, which is one thing I will say about the character. Well, I mean, I don't know. The Asari, PB, she's too irritating, but other than her, I find this cast not obnoxious, which I guess puts them above Veilguard. They're more boring than they are obnoxious.
PB is obnoxious by character design too.
Yes,
the way that, it's sort of like a vein that Sarah in Dragon Age Inquisition might be. Like this character is designed to get on some people's nerves, that to have friction with the other cast members.
Yes, but even that she's doing in a somewhat generic way.
Yes, it's nowhere near as bad as Veilguard, though.
No.
Liam is very upbeat. It becomes, as you talk to him and tease it out, that it's sort of a conscious character choice on his part to be optimistic and upbeat as a way of combating the sort of overall grimness of our situation. And maybe he's just sort of wired that way anyway. It does not make him a very endearing or interesting character to me, but it does not actively irritate me the way that the Veilguard cast members being so genial and untouched by the magnitude of the situation did.
Yeah,
because like not everybody has the exact same personality and approach that he does.
Yeah, I mean these are like kind of generally more professional type characters, I guess you'd say. Like where everyone's here to do a job. Everyone's kind of aware of the stakes. There's I think that kind of flattens out their personality in a lot of ways, or in the case of I don't even remember. Yeah, the Krogan. I forget his fucking name.
Drac.
Yeah, he's just like, well, General Krogan. The stuff that Krogans are. He's like that. He ends up being very generic as a result, but only because we've had so many Krogans that weren't this generic before. But for the most part, yeah, they kind of just feel. I don't know if shallow is the word. No, I'll go with shallow. Shallow characterizations, kind of across the board with these guys. But I guess not actively irritating is nice. I guess. I mean,
we talk about like everybody being professional and having a job to do. That has been a strength of the Mass Effect series, the original trilogy. That was the case. Everybody had a job to do. I mean, like with maybe like early on, okay, Tali kind of falls into it with you, and she's capable but not professional, perhaps. And then, but by the second one, she is. And then Jack is very unprofessional, but in a very fun way, obviously. But yeah, otherwise you're on a mission, you're recruiting people with deliberate intent to do jobs, so they tend to be competent at those jobs.
I think I'd be a lot harder on this cast if I was coming straight off of 3 Mass Effect games than if I was coming off of Veilguard too.
Oh, for certain.
Yeah.
Yes, the Veilguard seems to think that what we need is several Liberty gibbets. For character or whatever.
One is more than enough, frankly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Cora is fine. She's professional. We will get into some character conflict with her because she is your father's second in command, who's sort of his heir apparent, except when Clancy Brown dies in the opening mission. Spoiler. He then passes on his title by way and his secret cyborg artificial intelligence implant onto you as his child, sort of passing her over and making you the new Pathfinder.
Seems a little situational, really, It seems as he's dying and such.
I thought it was set up that basically he had done something to us to make us, given us the port to plug into for the AI that other people wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which is, it's good that it gives Cora a character conflict with us, that she now has to be second in command to somebody that she is her junior. That's another thing that I forgot about this game or didn't realize at all, that it took me a while to realize, canonically here, Ryder is supposed to be like 22 years old.
Right. Yeah.
And the game does not do enough with that idea. There is one scene when you first get your ship and you get your crew together and you hold a conference and sort of go over, okay, we're going to go to the first planet here and here's what we're going to try and do and blah, blah. And like everybody is it goes, okay, great. And then they all walk off and then Ryder's left standing there and goes, dismissed, I guess. Mm-hmm. And like, you could have done a lot more of the crew does not really respect your Ryder out of the gate because they're so young. And then it never does anything else that I can see with that. Again.
No, I think that's more a sort of a ham-handed attempt at comedy than it is any sort of character writing, I'm afraid.
Comedy's one of the things you could get out of that.
Yeah, well, one could. Yeah.
And the only way that through line stretches out at all is your interactions with Cora, is my point, I guess.
Fair enough. I mean, I do like that. Like, it should be there with Vetra too, who's the Turian that you have, who's just sort of no nonsense. I don't know. I haven't gotten much into Vetra yet in my playthrough. I'm not particularly drawn to, but I will eventually. Just want to do it. But
no, she's very, very competent.
And
that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, she's got a little sister that she's protective of, but who remains soft screen for most of the game, maybe all of it. I don't recall.
I mean, it does feel like, okay, here's your council race types that you want to play with. Here you got your Turian, you got your Asari, and a Krogan. Everyone likes a Krogan, so here you go. There's those 2 humans, and and one new one for the new galaxy, and that's it. It's very I don't know. I guess it's more or less how Mass Effect 1 handled it. And this is conceptually going to be Mass Effect 1. Like the idea is we're making more games afterwards.
Yeah. This is one of the smaller parties since Mass Effect 1. Mm-hmm. I think it's 8 total characters. Given there's 8 primers, though, 1 native Andromedan party member is not enough.
I agree. I mean, it should have been mostly. I get they want to include the big races from the last game, I guess. And
it goes to what I was complaining about earlier too. We're doing legit first contact things. Loading you up right away with a bunch of new aliens is not going to be naturalistic in that mold. But if you're going to do Star Trek Next Generation, you got to put a Klingon on the crew by that point. Like,
right?
We got to expand this. Give us that data. Give us all that. Whatever. So,
well, look,
we start out with just humans.
This has been, I think, the main appeal of this game, of the Mass Effect games, has been the Star Trek stuff, honestly. It's been the ways that it overlaps with that, where there's lore that we understand because we understand the characters and the history and all this stuff. The world building is a big part of that, and it feels a lot like, despite the promise of this idea and the premise of the game, that we're kind of just we're in a holding pattern with a lot of that stuff here. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. Like I said, I've forgotten a lot of this game, so maybe in the second half that becomes more of a thing. I don't remember it becoming more of a thing, though.
Everything I remember from this game was in the first half, so I got nothing on where we're going early.
That doesn't bode well either. So yeah, like it should be more more alien races from this new world, but the alien races should be more interesting too. Like, I should be excited to play with some of these guys. Like if you got a Ket member of your team, would you give a shit? Like how? Well, I mean, they're a monstrous, barbarous race kind of, but would it be any more interesting than having a Batarian? I guess in the first series, probably not.
No, but they could give us throw a Batarian our way at this point. That would be
wouldn't mind.
The midpoint between a new Andromedan species and just a race that we didn't get to have as a party member in the first one, or the first series.
Have you delved into the multiplayer at all for Andromeda?
Andromeda?
Yeah.
Is it still going on?
I don't know. I haven't looked yet. There's a lot of prompts for me to do so, and I'm just like, I'm not going to get into that, but I want to give it a shot because I really liked the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and I wonder how much of that is retained. Probably not.
There's no way that it still functions.
I don't know. It could be there. Could be a ghost town.
Yeah, because EA is going to keep that electricity plugged in.
Yeah.
Just even though it
9 years, probably
$15 a quarter.
9 years, yeah, you're right. Okay. I wonder. I mean, I'm sure there's probably way less people playing this than the original games, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer might still be going with a handful of people, but this one definitely is not.
It's not. So, yeah, that makes a good point. Okay. If 3's not
regardless. The Bioware Omnibus is about the single-player experience, not the multiplayer.
Of course.
We go to the Nexus, which is a replacement Citadel.
Yeah.
That was sent ahead. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, what's immediately deflating to me about this is we're supposed to be, cresting new shores of exploration here. But in order to have the story progress with any kind of momentum, it's like, okay, but actually, like, you're part of the second wave after, like, they went. There's people who've been here for a year that started constructing a new Citadel for you to use by the time you get there. And so by the time you get there too, they have a whole history there of, things went wrong immediately because of the Scourge. There's, resource shortages. Things were not going according to plan. There was a mutiny that had to be put down. And it's like, I don't know, some of this stuff might have been more interesting to play through ourselves. But overall, that's the effect of supposed to be the one at breaking these new paths. And everywhere I go, there's already established history there. That I'm not privy to.
Did you, any chance, get to see Project Hail Mary?
No, I was kind of going to wait till home.
It's pretty good. I was really struck watching it because I was, already playing this game, working my way through it. How many of the ideas and sort of moments that it actually does better than Andromeda. And that opening is one of them, is just waking up sort of in media res. It's like, oh shit, everything's broken. I got to pull this together right now, or in a real state here. First Contact is done better there. The science of exploration, it's all kind of, it's very much not doing the same thing as Andromeda, but it's
sure.
The sense of discovery and exploration and ideas, that's all like really present there in a way that you are expecting it and wanting it to be here. And it's not. It's a disappointment.
And it all feels, in this case, by way of getting you the familiar contours of a Bioware RPG to play through.
Mm-hmm.
But that's at odds with the premise they chose to set it up.
Yeah, and I'm not sure which I would prefer, but I definitely would prefer one or the other, Like either just give me exactly what a Mass Effect game is supposed to feel like, or, really make a concerted effort to change that. And this is sort of half of one, half of the other, and kind of a master of neither as a result.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, because I do think, I read something that supposedly the initial concepts of this, part of the reason this game maybe is not as good as it could have been, is that it's a thing that went through different development cycles where they kind of scrapped a whole lot of work and started over at a certain point. And
the Bioware way, apparently, under EA.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the original, very first concept was for it to be more like No Man's Sky, where the worlds were procedurally generated and randomized a bit.
Sounds rough.
And I might be bored by doing genuine exploration of empty worlds and all of that. That you would still want there to be Mass Effect combat. And if there's less, if the combat's really sparse on the ground, that might be frustrating in its own right. So
I
I'm
think
not exactly.
that's why I say maybe I just want them to just play the hits in a fast.
Pick a lane, yeah.
You know, like kind of just do a Mass Effect thing, you know, because it is an action and story focused RPG. You know, like they try exploration in the first one. They try, you know, these big maps and you know, and you got to use the car to get around and all that stuff in the first game. That's the stuff people didn't like, and they shifted into what became the best BioWare game possibly in Mass Effect 2. And, you know, kind of never look back until now. And now we're trying to, like, redo it, but not lose the thing people liked. And it just doesn't fit. It just doesn't work in the way any of it's supposed to as a result.
Well, it doesn't feel like this is trying to get back to Mass Effect 1 so much as it's trying to get to more of an open world.
Well, I think it's trying to
Ubisoft.
I think it is trying to do Mass Effect in the sense that, like, here's Mass Effect as one as it should have been. Kind of like we're going to take some of the ideas that were part of Mass Effect 1 and really commit to them. And it can't necessarily because this is Mass Effect 4, essentially. There are player expectations and the combat system and many other aspects of what Mass Effect has become are not necessarily compatible with this sort of No Man's Sky kind of exploration thing that they're also trying for. It's a neat idea. It's a neat kind of conceptual science fiction idea. And I mean, like we said, the premise here, it seems like there's something to that. It seems like there's a way this could have been fun and really worked.
Yeah. Anyway, we get to the Nexus, and everybody's happy to see us because now we have a Pathfinder, which, again, not super well defined what exactly makes a Pathfinder so special. To everybody else. Right. We find out that part of what makes special is that we have a secret artificial intelligence hookup we inherited from our dad that give us sort of some special powers and special scanner. And that's something one of the things that makes this game most dated and is kind of most interesting to play now is in the entire Mass Effect series is how sort of pro AI it all is, which hits in a funny way in 2026. Going back to one of the other earliest episodes we ever did, which was a little right before the LLM revolution actually hit. We talked about AI in fiction and how that and robots. And it's funny to me that what we're dealing with now is things that have the label AI slapped on them that aren't intelligent at all. In Mass Effect's context, these are actual autonomous intelligence creatures, consciousnesses, where it does make more sense to treat them as like human beings. The term AI has become so abused and degraded in our world that it conjures up slop instead of genuine thought. Well, there is speculative fiction written about the exact sort of inflection point between those two things. Like Asimov, I believe, is mostly about that. The iRobot. His entire body of work is kind of about where the sort of light of consciousness switches on, and yeah, we're not there yet. We're just in the in shitification kind of slop world. Yeah, I don't think we're anywhere near.
It doesn't appear to be, right? It doesn't seem like it's something that's really going to happen, at least not anytime soon.
No, I don't think I don't think we are any nearer to that than we were 5 years ago, really. And it's just that we have these slot machines that were built by people that are familiar enough with Asimov's work to sort of, in a lot of ways, abuse and weaponize those concepts against skeptics of their slot machines.
I think there is an argument that can be made, that maybe what human society actually needs to survive, beyond their present state is AI. I mean, yeah. I've heard that argument, and it makes sense. Like that it is required for us to have sustainable resources, and a means of supporting the population. A sort of an intelligence that is beyond human capacity. Okay, I buy that. There's something.
We already have that. Uh-huh. I mean, and it depends how you define intelligence. Yeah, well, okay, but. In many ways, a TI-83 has intelligence beyond human capacities.
Exactly.
To do calculations quickly.
Right.
Whether it doesn't have consciousness, blah, blah. Mass Effect presupposes that this thing does have consciousness. And that's what's been fun about this for me is trying to role play a writer who is an AI skeptic or hates machines, and the game just will not allow for me to abuse Sam in any way.
Yeah. Okay. yeah.
No, Sam. Sam is my Omni tool. It's everything. It is my electric screwdriver, and every problem in this story is Sam shaped.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, look, I think the point is, that these games have stopped even kind of pretending at RPG. Like it. I mean, there is elements of building your character and the way you behave in combat and the stuff you wear and shit like that and how you look, but it's all very surface level. It's all like the narrative is the narrative, and there's not even really a hint of it. You can do it differently here. I mean, it's RPG and cosmetics that you can build your class and distribute your points and change your armor's look. But it's not story driven in the sense that you can shape the story. Yeah, the way you could with Dragon Age Origins or I mean, this might even be less than Veilguard. I mean, we'll see, but it does feel like this is just like no, we're not even fucking around with that. Like the story is not going to change. You may be somebody. I feel like I couldn't even lose my party members if I tried. And I
don't think you can.
Yeah. See if I can.
I'm pretty sure nobody can die in this game. But,
or even leave. I'd settle for one of them saying enough and quitting, but I don't think that's possible. So that's that right there. That's like something that used to be good and is now worse. In Bioware, and in just a very direct and obvious way. And one of the main appeals of the games was the branching way you could handle it, or at least just the illusion of choice and options. You kind of reveal their limitations in multiple playthroughs, but it really feels so bespoke your first time through, and not here, not at all.
No, and it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for me to play through a story that doesn't have a lot of branching opportunities.
Yeah, JRPG.
The story being really told.
A Final Fantasy never really. You're not building your character in any way but his combat stats there. The story is going to do exactly what he always does. Yeah,
and if the story's good, that's fine.
Exactly.
The problem here is the story's not that good, and it's also, a moderate amount of butter spread over just so much bread of the overworld stuff.
I mentioned I had a 90 hours logged on this from 9 years ago, and that's like a threat that I'm upset about now. I was realizing that I have that much game ahead of me in Mass Effect Andromeda, because if this were a 30-hour game, I think I'd feel just fine about it. The length of one of the original Mass Effects, like the first one or something like that. 35, 45 hours if you push it. It's going to be much bigger, though. I know it. And it's just going to be climbing that fucking car up a mountainside and realizing I wasn't supposed to do that for hours of it.
All right. So we're trying to get through the story here. On the Nexus, we meet a lot of the sort of administrative staff and get a little into their community things. There's a Krogan administrator who's actually... It's a female Krogan, which we didn't get much of in the original trilogy, and she's got interests that go beyond, I want to do the biggest smash I can on everything. So that is welcome for variety's sake.
Yeah.
There's a Turian who runs security, whatever, and some humans. And then you have the Solarian administrator, played by Kumail Nanjiani, who's sort of a Laura Roslin figure in that he was 7th or 8th down the line of command. Wasn't really supposed to have a role this big. Mm-hmm. And as such, the game and the characters kind of treat him like he's a real officious prick, like he's a William Atherton type or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have no conversation have I ever had him say something where I was like, that's unreasonable.
No, he's quite reasonable and helpful.
He's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that you got sort of a celebrity voiceover for this, but it is funny that they cast Kumail as a Solarian. That's very well chosen.
It's good casting, but maybe also like it might contrast with their vision of the character that I have too much innate affection for him for me to like have the reaction I'm supposed to this guy.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I don't mind liking that character. I don't like him that much, to be fair.
No, at every point in the story, it feels like like nudging me, like, oh yeah, that prick. And again, because I can't control writer's reaction, I'm never like, oh, he's fine. And I was like, yeah, I know he's a dick, but we're stuck with him. Like, that's not my perspective, really, but okay. Off we go. We hook up here with our Normandy called the Tempest.
Yeah. Over-designed.
Good ship.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it's got a lot of places you can go in it, and it feels less fun to go around than the Normandy, or maybe it's just less iconic in my mind, and that's part of it. But
I think it's that, and it's habitated by less interesting people, so you're not
maybe
as interested in the spaces they're standing in.
That could be.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah, and maybe I'll get more used to it. It does feel like time consuming to wander around it in a way that the Normandy did not.
It does. I think part of that too is that the Mass Effect original trilogy, the older games generally, I don't know if it's a function of my just being so much more familiar with them, having played through a few times, or the game
can't
design.
Get away from that. Yeah.
It is now much clearer to me when I have completed a story mission and it's time to go check in with everybody to see if they have anything new to say.
Right.
In this, there are such long stretches. I'm like, man, I haven't talked to anybody in a long time. I bet there's a bunch of new side quests that have popped up. But the markers of when I should go do that are less clear. So I find myself doing it more, but they don't have as much new stuff to say that often. Also, because they have a version of the war table from Giant Age Inquisition here, where you send out strike teams to do generic off-screen missions. It's much more generic than the war table, a worse version of it by far.
Yeah. Really an afterthought. Really.
Yeah. But I try and check in there periodically to collect my rewards.
Right.
So, because I need crafting materials to make my big machine gun.
Yeah, non-analytic fusion defensors or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And while I'm there, I figure I might as well do the rounds and see everybody. You're right. I do spend a lot of time wandering around there to no particular purposes. It does feel like. But anyway, our crew, we got another Solarian as a pilot. Yep. He's fine.
I like him.
I like that he's not Joker. And I liked Joker, but that they didn't try and recreate any dynamics exactly there. And then we have a co-pilot / science officer who's got a very pleasant Scottish accent. So that's all I got on her. And an Asari doctor who is voiced by Marjorie Tyrrell with Natalie something.
Yeah, that's another odd one. Yeah, Natalie Dormer.
Very 2017. Yes. For a moment. Who else we got? We pick up the Turian lady that we talked about. It's not clear exactly what her role is. She's sort of our connection to the black market, I guess. So we go down to investigate the first attempted settlement of
a golden world.
Planets.
The first possible golden world. That is a phrase that kind of stuck in my imagination a little bit. They use it a lot.
So the first one's a desert planet. We'll get the ice planet and the jungle planet later. But that on the desert planet is where we meet the Krogan and the Asari. Asari is PB. Pelisaria something is what it's short for. She is, again, this is the weird thing. She is, I guess, an expert in remnant tech, which mirrors Liara, who was our Asari expert in Prothean technology and history. Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense that they've been here for at most a year and anybody's an expert on this old tech at all, but she's what passes for it. And, I guess credit for personality-wise, making her quite different from Liara, and that Liara is very buttoned down and PB is
annoying,
conscientiously not buttoned down.
Yeah, performatively not
buttoned
down. Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess you can have one annoying character in every game, but I don't know. It feels at this point, after many annoying characters, certainly after Veilguard, a little generic as well in its way.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's fine as a piece of this ensemble. Not my favorite part of it. And then Drek is fine because Krogan are kind of fun. as presences? Do you want to have one around? But man, very generic. Oh, I forgot. Part of the backstory of the Nexus is that there was that mutiny that involved the Krogans.
Yeah, my God.
leading the uprising and being banished from the Nexus. So that's just a really small scale recreation of what the Krogan backstory in the original trilogy was. And yeah, so that's more of that stuff. Right? We went to such effort to kind of clean slate this, and you still found it necessary to recreate so many of the same dynamics to smaller and lesser effects.
Yeah, weird decisions across the board there. To do that over and over, same dynamic, lesser effect. Why? I mean, you could really just go crazy here. I mean, anybody could behave whatever. So, Eos is it's boring. It's a boring rock planet. This was a big stopper for me because I spent a lot of time just driving around and looking, going to points of interest and things like that. I think the game improves as you play it a little bit, but I think it's kind of a worst foot forward thing here with Eos as your opener.
Worst foot forward. I cannot no better example of a worst foot forward in any game I can think of than when you first get your car, which is an improvement on the tank from Mass Effect 1, generally. But as soon as you get it, the first thing you have to do is drive up a mild incline that the car cannot accomplish. You have to switch to all-wheel drive and then do a boost. But the game only prompts you to do the boost and doesn't explain the all-wheel drive shift to you. So you just boost up in the mode that doesn't work anyway. And it took 5 minutes for me of trying can I really not climb this 40-degree incline in my all-terrain vehicle? Until I finally Googled it to realize, I have to press this other button to shift to climbing mode.
There is no visual difference for all-wheel drive either, which drives me nuts. I hate this.
The back burner on the rear of the thing kind of opens and closes as you press it.
Yes, but it doesn't tell you whether you're in the all-wheel drive state or not. It just
because the camera settles in to where you can't see that part of the car anyway.
It's so annoying. Yeah, I mean, all this car stuff, I'm just nope, I still wish this wasn't here. I get it, exploration, Brave New Worlds and all. I just wish this wasn't here. My cup runneth over with this in the first game, and now you're bringing it back, and I'm just I think my first time through, I was kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt, and now I'm not. Now I'm kind of just I wish this wasn't here. All right, you know what? I feel I'm coming off very negative here, but well, I guess that's because I'm kind of negative on the game. I don't want to. I don't know. It is improving the more I play it. It's picking up some steam. It's getting a little more interesting. I'm optimistic that I'm going to like the back half more. This EOS stuff is rough, though. EOS is rough.
As I've gotten a feel for the exploration, and as I've leveled up, the combat has gotten more enjoyable as I have settled into my build. So I don't mind just blasting through stuff as much as it was kind of frustrating at the beginning.
I mean, a combat is fun. It's not as good as Mass Effect Prime, but
right.
It's based on the same idea, and it's not the worst. It's all right. It's all right.
I wish there was more. There is some of the lack of enemy variety. Playing Mass Effect 3 and Veilguard. That you're fighting a lot of Ket and some Remnant and a couple wild animals.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, new galaxy, the sky's the limit on what you can do there. Apparently not.
Yep. No, the limit is not the sky; it's the EA budget.
Yep. Yeah, I guess.
So we have to go. What we have to do to make this world habitable is go into a remnant vault, a big underground facility that's hundreds of years old, and activate a big machine that will kind of terraform the planet to a more habitable state. And these are scattered around these different golden worlds. And these are some of my least favorite parts of the game, is dungeon diving into these modular vaults.
Yeah, they're not really fun. I think the design is a problem. I think I'm not interested in what these things are looking like. Seen so many versions of these kind of rooms and vaults and other video games, certainly other Mass Effect games, but other games in general, These look a lot like Horizon Zero Dawn. They look a lot like Fallout sometimes. They're really overly familiar video game worlds here, and it's kind of in many ways, and as you say, the Protheans, of course, are such an inspiration on this, or an inspiration. I don't even know if
This
the
is a
thing they're
template.
ripping off. It just feels like, yes, oh, look, we're investigating this new thing. Look how deep it goes. And I'm just like, I wish it didn't go so fucking deep. Jesus. This is
Me too.
It's not interesting, and one of the least interesting things you do. And then the promise then is like, and we're going to go find more of these for the rest of the game. And
3 more on every planet you go to. I'm like, oh, no. Yeah.
And you got to scan. You got to scan to unlock the thing. And it's not a fun mechanic to play with. It's disheartening.
There's Sudoku to break things up.
Yeah, and I look forward to the Sudoku games at this point. I'm just like, well, it's something at least.
Yeah, and then every planet also has at least one very large ket base that you have to shoot your way through.
Those are
fun.
fun.
Down into it's. Yeah, I mean, I just wish they were more differentiated.
Mm-hmm.
That I could tell you, again, it might be a function of having played through Dragon Age Origins multiple times, but the big different quest lines there the dungeons play out differently, and they look different, and they have different enemy types, and I could tell you a story beat from each of them.
Right.
I have gone through a couple of these big ket bases and killed a boss ket that had the same floating orb, like boss design to him. And had a different ones, like the Cardinal and the Prefect or something are the names. They both had a title, but it played out exactly the same way on 2 different planets, and I couldn't tell you exactly why it mattered. I know that in both cases I needed to take out the ket presence to up the viability points of the planet, but I couldn't tell you a plot thing that really happened there.
Yeah.
I can't tell you a very funny thing that made me laugh out loud, actually, though, in one of the boss fights. After the one where, we skipped over Jal, our Angaran buddy.
Yeah, we'll talk
Angara
about it.
are the native Andromedan civilization that we meet. And they are they look like Twi'leks from Star Wars. They've got head tails and, vaguely reptilian appearance.
Kind of cat-like faces with
Australian accents and lizard skin.
Yeah. And they're the big swing of for what the new races of Andromeda will look like. They're the one that we put all our eggs in, so to speak. But
again, they look like exactly like the 4th most interesting Star Wars alien race. But we get our buddy Jal there. He's one of the better characters, actually.
Sure.
I think I like his voice performance and all.
I would agree. I mean, he feels a little like, a familiar type as well. We've seen, versions of this guy before in Mass Effect. Kind of, I don't know. Who was the Prothean? I liked him more.
Jal, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Jal is this one.
Jal is this one.
Javik.
Javik, yeah.
Yes.
But even
they have a very similar voice performance.
Yes. It's that guy who plays, I think it's not the same guy, is it? It feels like it.
That would be way too on the nose. You can't like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the dude from 300. I'm pretty sure is the actual guy. The guy who gets kicked into the pit at the beginning of 300. I'm pretty sure is the voice of Javik. I think, and I don't think it's him in this, but he's in a lot of video games.
So when we meet the Angara, that they said that they had a civilization that spanned across planets and all, and then when the Scourge popped up a few hundred years ago, it kind of wrecked their whole civilization. Apparently, in a way, it's still not clear to me how an inanimate object had the effects it had on them. Is that they say that they lost a bunch of their history and stuff. To that, and then the Ket came along and I guess pretended to be friendly for a minute or two before they started attacking and kidnapping the Angara. And now the Angara have been at war with the Ket for generations of time. Much like when you meet Javik, he is from a time when the Protheans had been at war with the Reapers for generations, and they'd lost their history and yada, yada, yada. So it's all very similar dynamics. Anyhow, the Angara had been at war with Kep for a long time, and one of these boss fights that I was talking about, we invaded a base to free a bunch of Angara prisoners and get to the dun-dun-dun revelation that they're converting the Angara into Ket. And we get to after I beat the boss, the Cardinal or whoever his title was, is ranting at me about how, this is exaltation is a great gift that are being offered. And how dare you turn your nose up at this? We can, we can perfect you with this process, blah, blah, blah. And the dialogue option I chose for my writer was, had me saying, greatness can't be engineered.
Oh, okay.
And then immediately following that is a chime in from the cyborg AI chip in my head that it solves all my problems for me.
Yeah.
About how it can, like, writer, I can release all the Angaran prisoners for you, or we can explode the base now, blah, blah, blah. God damn it, Sam. Read the room. I was just talking about can't engineer everything special about me that you represent.
I mean,
I laughed out loud at that part.
There is I think that points to, though, sort of a failure to actually engage with the ideas that it's putting forth here. It's not really. I mean, there's not depth in this writing, I'm afraid, in the way that there was in the previous ones, and it feels like we're just kind of like retreading and doing similar ideas, and there's just not a lot of invention or new stuff coming into this, and which is a shame because the premise, well, not only does it allow for that, it kind of promises it.
Yeah.
For it to work, it's got to be like, whoa, this is fresh and original, and I didn't see this, there's unexpected quality to all this. New aliens. Oh my God, that guy's a slime alien. How's that going to work on my team? I guess it is. Nothing like that's going to occur. It's very much just like, well, here are many of the things you enjoy about Mass Effect, but none of the characters. We're going to do new versions of them that surely you'll like just as much, just because of the shorthand. And, lame. No good.
And maybe that, the strength of Mass Effect always lay in the characters more than the story, although I do think the story's good of the original one. Mm-hmm. So maybe that could still function if these characters were more engaging versions of even like the same archetypes.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I can promise you that.
You could even switch it around so that like Jaal's personality was in the Asari person, and the Turian had the Krogan's job or something. Like, I don't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I would say the vocal performances aren't really. None of them are extraordinary. Jaal's probably the best, but I mean, I can point to like at least half a dozen amazing vocal performances in the original games. Like the vocal performance on Morden Solus or on Tali, or Grunt, or not Rex, not Grunt. Yeah, Garrus. I mean, incredible. Like nobody's rising to that level here, and I wouldn't put it all on the voice actors. There's less good stuff to say, less good situations to play, but as a complete package, every piece is kind of lacking. None of it's incompetent, but
no.
None of it lands really. None of it really works in that satisfying Bioware way.
There's a lot of party banter, the chit chat when you're driving around in the Nomad. Mm-hmm. Like it's more common than the prior games. It's markedly, those interactions are not as interesting as
they're very surface level. Yeah.
Yes. When they pop up in Dragon Age or in the earlier Mass Effect trilogy, they are markedly better than Veilguard. At least they're not, every one of them is not one member reassuring the other party member that they like them and they support them.
Or versions of, well, that just happened. Yeah, a lot of that in Veilguard. Yeah. But yeah, they were like, those conversations had teeth in the early stuff, Like there were interactions like between, I don't know, Ulgrin
Morgan and Stem.
Yeah, like these people they'd say some shit to each other, and it was fun. Yeah. It was really exciting to hear those guys talk. Now, I would never I want to hear the conversations between Vetra and Liam. What are they going to get up to? I don't give a shit.
No. I mean, at least there will be specific to those two personalities, which are somewhat distinct but they're not going to have any of the sparks that the good Bioware stuff does.
No. So, I mean, this was like a notorious failure at the time. And I remember thinking, it's not that bad. It's not that awful. Now I'm kind of just like, it's not, but is it anything worthwhile? You know, is there anything here that's really, really extraordinary or exceptional or worth recalling in 2026? And, you know, obviously we're doing a thing here. We're going to play the game. We're going to get through it. And it won't be the worst thing. You know, it's not going to be a real chore in the way that some of these are. But, you know, I don't know. More game to come.
You know, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Veilguard was the only one that's been a real chore for me, I'd say. Maybe
Inquisition really was chapping on me by the end. I remember.
That's what I was going to say. Is that the tail end of Inquisition did sort of the joy was like sucked entirely out of it, and that we may be in store for something like this because structurally this feels the closest to Inquisition.
Yeah,
of any, more than any of the other games we've done.
I'm probably going to take the fast way through this, is my guess. If it ends up feeling like that, I think I'm going to curtail my natural instinct to do everything and just be like, let's just wrap this thing up, you know? I think that
there may be a lot more points of interest left unexplored on the second batch of planets than the first one for me.
Yes. I mean, that could happen. Or maybe I'll get into the groove of it, and it'll be rewarding as I progress, and, you know, it'll develop more than I recalled. Yeah. I remember the narrative is pretty sparse. There's not too many story missions, you know, especially in the second half, and so we'll see where it all ends. Again, I have no
we didn't
recollection
even mention the villain of the piece.
No,
we even named the villain. We'll talk about it next time if it seems relevant. It didn't seem relevant so far.
Just so. I don't know, but yeah, we're definitely going to keep going. We're going to, you know, report back and see how we feel about this, because this is the bitter end of the Bioware Omnibus, and so let's do it justice at least, right? I mean, that's what we're
until
doing
Mass Effect 4 comes out. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. More to come on BioWare and Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yep.